Okay, welcome back. Congratulations, you made it to the end. This is going to be our final drawing, and it is a master drawing. So you're picking a drawing that is created by one of the masters, whether it be Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Rodin, and some other contemporary artists I chose. So this is what I'm going to choose today. It is Michelangelo, and I'm going to show you a couple things how to get started. I'm going to go ahead and use pencil. I'm not going to use charcoal on this, and you have the choice whether or not to do that. So go ahead and find a new paper, and I want you to gesture draw it a few times before you start your final drawing. So just get comfortable with it. I'm using a jet black pencil, and what you want to notice is Michelangelo used circular forms. So these are all circular. So all these muscles here, very circular, and different from the drapery that we just did, because that was kind of geometric, and these are organic shapes. All right, so this is kind of like a series of orbs, and he always kind of kept everything moving in that same direction where it flowed in and out of each other. So that's the goal. One of the goals for this is to view these as orbs, organic shapes, like orbs, circles, ovals, stuff like that. And with that in mind, you can build this entire character. See all these circles? And that's why everything feels connected. It feels like it goes together, because it all does, it does flow into each other. All right? So with a gesture drawing, you can do the same thing. You can kind of have that same flow. And a gesture drawing is just getting familiar with things, right? So it's not anything that's final. You're just kind of looking at things and trying to understand what's happening, where those main orbs are. There's like a series of little orbs in here. Look at that. Right? So just be mindful. Look at that little tucked in circle here. And then you got like an oval, an oval, and an oval. So oval, oval, oval. So that little area here represents that. This is my shoulder here. This is an orb. All right, so you can kind of see what's happening there. You know, everything's kind of flowing into each other. And there is a figure drawing class at BC, but obviously this is not figure drawing, and we're just looking at these little orbs and shapes, and we've dealt with that already. We've created a sphere, we made it look three-dimensional, so we know how to do that, right? And we're just doing that all over a few times. A lot of times, to build this thing that looks like a person. All right, and it's good practice before you go into those classes. That way you're not blind. You're not going to sit down and say, oh, I've never done that before. And this is kind of like a segue into those upper division classes like figure drawing and drawing 2. Okay, so I feel like I got a good idea about what's going on here as far as the shapes go, but if you look closely on a lot of these master drawings, you'll see this line work, which is called hatching. And hatching is a series of lines that creates value. So when they're close together and dark, they make a dark value. When they're spread apart and light, they make a light value. All right. So you can practice that in your gesture drawing just to get comfortable with that technique. So hatching is just this to create value, and you could see it in this drawing, right? And you know, he left out a lot of information here, and that's okay, you can too. But this whole arm here is kind of resolved. This whole back area is resolved. The head is kind of resolved, not really. The face has just some hatching in it. So you don't really have to make up, you know, a face if it's not really there. And his ear is kind of like a half orb. And then it has a series of lines that create the hatching. All right, so I'm gonna work in this area here. This is kind of like my orb. And all this is hatching. So he's really paying attention to like his line work. And it's different from charcoal because, you know, you don't have line work, but he's making each line very soft and very deliberate, meaning every line counts and it does a specific job. So these lines are creating value, whether it be dark or light. And they all have to work together to make this drawing happen. So if I have a muscle like this, I know it's kind of grainy, but you want these lines to climb up and around, right? So if I have an orb like that or a muscle, you want those lines to really take a rounded shape, and that furthers the three-dimensional quality of that. All right, so if I made it just flat, doesn't work as good. I mean, it kind of works, but when you have that rounded quality, it tells the viewer this thing is round and it's popping out. So try to imagine these as actual muscles and how that line would climb over and around that shape. And if you think of it as muscle tissue, that's what they actually look like, right? So if you had, you know, like a tricep here and then some tendons, that muscle is going to be pulling tight around. Right? So those muscle fibers really stretch around and over itself. All right, there, that would be like your elbow. Anywho, think of these orbs as balls, right? As three-dimensional things. So hatching is not required, but if you want to put it in there, this is how you do it. All right, they're just lines closer together, and they're either dark or light, depending on what it says in your reference. All right, so practice in areas around the drawing first before you start. And once you feel good about, okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do, I have an idea about how to hatch or how to shade or what kind of shading I'm gonna do, then move on to a final drawing. and do the same thing. So in this case, I'm not going to press down as much for my gesture draw, but I'm going to do the same thing just to give myself an idea on what to do. Okay, so I got the basic form of everything, and if you want to press pause, just try to get in those basic shapes that you see there, and from there you just want to put in your darks and start shading from there. So that's the next step, put in darks. I'm going to go ahead and put in my mediums too for the sake of time. Notice I'm inside today. It's way too hot to be out in my garage, aka studio. It's not good. I had an art show yesterday via online, and I did an interview through FaceTime with my gallery and two other artists. So they were in the gallery and I was in LA and I was here in Bakersfield, and so we just kind of talked about artwork. And that was the first time I've ever done anything like that. And it was pretty cool. So I'm glad I got to be part of that. Even with everything going on, there's still an effort to keep the arts alive. And you know, there's artists out there like me that are still making artwork and paintings. And my gallery is really awesome. They support us. It's a nonprofit, and they support a lot of different artists from a lot of different backgrounds. And so it's a good thing. So if you're thinking about being an artist, there's ways to do it, especially with online. And all you gotta do is just make the work first. Figure out what you like to make a lot of it, and then go figure out who's showing that kind of work and try to build a relationship, whether it be going to a gallery, emailing someone, representing yourself on Instagram or Facebook, and you can do it. A lot of the times people don't really need galleries either. They can just do it on their own, and that's pretty much okay. As long as you're making money, as long as you're happy with what you do, then do it. I've had several students go on to pursue art, and they're doing really well. I have a student at Laguna College, and she's doing well. She changed her major from nursing to art and really took off with it, and she's doing well. So a lot of the times I talk with students, and the main reason why they don't do art is because they feel like there's no money in it. But as you can tell, you don't really do this for money. You do it just because you love it. It's a part of your life already. And, you know, if you can make a little bit of money doing it, then that's a bonus. So why not try to do that? So I still have to teach to make money, and that's okay, just the way it is. But it feels good when you do sell a painting or a work of art, and you can just make someone's day because they like your artwork. Kind of like the video from Retina. I mean, you want to connect with people, and you want your message to get out there, whatever it may be. And if that happens, that's really cool. You could change the world around you. I'm gonna change that. So we're gonna turn in our jet, and we're gonna turn in drawing. And we'll have 2 submissions. So that way I can tell that you practiced, you really put in some effort, and you can feel good about the work that you submitted as well. You want to take pride in these things. So I hope you learned a lot with this class. It's a weird setup. It's really the first time I've taught this online, and I tried to figure out the easiest way to get things across. I have a sharper pencil, so I'm just making my lines a little bit more apparent, more sharp, more clean. I try to make this class as free-flowing as possible and as clear as possible, and mainly focus on the work and what I view as the most important techniques, while adhering to the course outline, obviously. So, like I said, I hope you learned the basics. A lot of you are, you have a lot of skill, so I hope you learned something new from this. And I hope you pursue this as, a career, or try to develop your skills even further, because a lot of you are really good, and we need more voices in the art world, and we need more diverse voices with something new to say. So everyone has a different life, a different story, And I think it's important for everyone to hear each other. Because once you know each other, you stop fearing each other. And when you stop fearing each other, you stop hating each other. And so it can help connect us, which is what we need in this time. I don't think anyone could disagree with that. So he's holding like a spear, and I got my angle all wrong. So weird shape. Oh, I see. His hand comes out here. So we're gonna adjust this whole thing. This kicks back way over here. That'll give me the angle that I need. And my thumb is up here. Kind of a bony thumb. If you look at your thumb, there's two little notches here and then like a dip in the middle. And that's really exaggerated here. Two bumps. Anyways, that's what's happening there. So his wrist is really bent back. He's putting a lot of force into what he's about to throw. He's using that edge detection as he throws, something that we had to purpose. All right, that looks a little bit better. That one goes there. Pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna go around and add some hatching just to finish this thing off. And choose something that challenges you. They are all challenging, I understand that. But this is your final, and I want you to really focus on all the techniques that we learned, even with this cross hatching or hatching. Cross hatching, forgot to mention, is when you make a series of lines, right? And then you go the other way. To create that dark value. So that's cross hatching, when they actually cross. And it looks really nice, not required. But if they're just lines going one way, that's hatching. And if I cross them, that's cross hatching. And you know, I can get a darker blend if I cross hatch. You know, you get a richer blend. So just go one way and then change your direction. All right, so use these techniques to create your final drawing. Push the values hard. If it's not dark enough, make it darker. If it's too dull, make it lighter. I got a lot up here I can shade in. And spend a lot of time on this. So start it one day, do as much as you can. When you start feeling like you don't want to do it, stop, pick it up the next day nice and fresh, keep going. And if it takes the whole week, that's fine. Just set aside, an hour here, an hour there. That way you can get a really good grade, you can get really good practice, and you're practicing those concepts of basic drawing to really understand it. That's the whole goal. All right, make sure you write your name. Oh gosh, that's why I'm not an English major. Make sure you write your name and the date. So today is uh, 20. Name and date on the front of your paper, preferably in the corner. Don't put it where I put it. And do that for your gesture drawing as well. Put your name and date on it. And good luck. Email me if you have any questions. All right. Stay safe.